You want to move the movies tonight?
I guess so.
Yes, you're on the books.
Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So we're going to call to order this meeting of the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 1. It's 2:36, and the meeting is being called to order. My apologies for the delay in the start of the meeting. Let's go ahead and have roll call.
Well, this is right there, Miss. I've never had it, Carol.
Okay, Ms. Patricia Goldberg,
Here.
Arturo Garcia present, Ms. Rosario Cabello, I don't know, it should be Jose Castillo. Vanessa Guerra,
Present.
Henry Savanier,
Here.
Benjamin Quick,
Here.
and Ms. Carol Alexander.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Very good. Next item on the agenda are the minutes from the prior meeting. I think you'll find them in the packet before you. I'll give you all an opportunity to look through them and make any comments or corrections. Sensing none, do I hear a motion that the minutes be approved as presented?
Motion to approve the minutes?
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 4, citizen comments. Citizens are required to fill out a witness card and to submit it to the chairperson or designee no later than 12:15 and identify themselves at the microphone. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. No more than 3 persons will be allowed to speak on any side of an issue. Should there be more than 3 people who wish to speak on a particular issue, they need to select not more than 3 representatives to speak for them, and the presiding officer may limit the public comments further in the interest of an orderly meeting. Speakers may not pass their minutes to any other speaker. Comments should be relevant to the city business and delivered in a professional manner. No derogatory remarks will be permitted.
I don't know, we have
Do we
a
have
visitor
the-
here, I don't know, are you here to speak now?
And do we have the sign-in sheet?
Yes.
It just went out.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the discussion and possible action on any items related to the Downtown Church Number 1 Area Tour held on February 12, 2019. First of all, let me thank Carol for organizing the tour. I thank you, we appreciate that very much. And 2, for those of us that participated in the tour.
I haven't finished that wrap-up of
Notes?
the survey type thing that you wanted to, I was gonna talk to you about.
Okay, well, are there any comments? I think this is I know we had some comments the last time, but we were all so tired towards the end of the trip and wanted to wrap up. So are there any other additional observations from last time about the tour and anything that need to be made at this meeting? I think this is the right time to do it.
One of the things, I know we made comments at the last meeting, but one of the things I discussed after the walkthrough was kind of identifying, I know we're identifying areas, but also identifying corridors. Like I know we all like how Iturbide looks, and we kind of want to implement that in other places. So just identifying the north, south, or another east, west of that kind of tier type of road.
I agree.
And, because obviously we can't do that everywhere in downtown, but if we're identifying where that should go downtown, that might help us along the way as far as figuring out where to start, stop, and so on and so forth.
Well, the board did take action at the meeting before last, after the first tour, and we did say that we knew that a target road or target street was, and I know I'm not gonna sum it up correctly, but I'll do it in general, was the walk we did between, on Zaragoza, is it Zaragoza? Between, and we designated the area between Webb County Heritage Foundation, that, and all the way to the outlet.
Sunday.
Yes, with a slight, yes, I mean, with a slight turn downwards.
Right.
And so you're right. I think that's something we need to do. We need to designate other areas that we think are gonna be fit. I mean, some of the comments I heard from some of the people taking the tour was that we thought that maybe we also needed to emphasize or grow the streetscape on Iturbide itself. So that's something to take into consideration.
I have, on what Ben commented on, I've taken more people down to 8th Street and we've done our little, I try and take as many people as I can down and show them that we can have a nice, we really can have a nice downtown because it's already there on Iturbide. And a lot of what's happening there is if we could model that. But I know Peg's always considering the utilities. The utilities apparently, I think it was supposed to be in the plan, but it's not in the plan yet, or it's supposed to be, but there's going to be some plumbing work done on that part of Zaragoza that is closed to street traffic. There's still cars go up and down there when they turn around, but they're supposed to dig up that street. So I wonder if we could maybe look into that and identify what we could possibly piggyback on that plumbing work that's gonna happen there first.
Do we know what's gonna be done in that area?
It's connected to the restaurant that's right there, or catty corner to the churches, and
So
something about
it-
the plumbing is,
But I assume it's a city project, right?
well, it's connected to the restaurants that are right there. It didn't, it's not an independent, the city didn't come and say, we need to do this. The restaurant needs
To fix a plumbing issue?
has an issue, I'm not sure what it is, but they have some kind of issue. And so to fix it, apparently they're gonna have to dig open, or break open, or open the street.
So, to follow up on Carol's question, city staff, I'm not sure, who we ask, Public Works to see what's gonna be done there, to see if they're doing some.
I'm not aware of anything.
No, I'm not aware either. It'd probably be engineering, maybe.
Or utilities?
Yeah, well, we'll have to ask him and then report back to you all, and we have no idea.
Yeah, could you let us know? I mean, the idea here again being that if there's going to be any digging going on or something, we need to leverage off of that, so that any project that move into the area, and it just, kind of something as simple as just telling us what the project is and how long it's gonna take, and see if it's gonna affect anything else.
It's almost, it is actually that entrance to our city, right, to our
Right.
nation right there. It just happens to be, so if we started there, if we targeted to start there and then go east and west from there, I mean, depending on what we're gonna do,
Sounds good.
and who's gonna direct that.
That's the other item on the agenda. Are there any other comments on the tour or the observations? So what I would encourage then, Ben, it would be, the idea of designating the Zaragoza the way we did was because someone said, we need to target that area, and that needs to be something that we should pass as a motion as a board. So if you have suggestions, and you don't have to do this now, but maybe think about it for the future meeting, if there's a street area that you're thinking of putting together, because a couple of other cities have suggested that we can't ignore the north-south connection.
Right, and that's what we were talking about, like the bike connection, the walkable connection, but north and south, because if we do Zaragoza and then Iturbide, we don't have anything.
Doing north and south. So the idea is to come up with a couple of ideas that you may have, so that we can put this into a motion, so that when we begin to work with a contractor, we have a designated area that we're targeting. I mean, certainly, I think any one of us could sit down and come up with what we think is the best, but if you all think about it, let's bring it to this board for discussion.
It's for their churches.
Yeah, right, the exit for this pedestrian, the pedestrian exit for the bridge, right?
It's exactly right there. It's actually gonna be right there,
Yeah.
where the pedestrians come.
Very good.
And,
There's a restaurant next to the church.
well, snack bar.
Yeah, it was a snack bar. I think.
Snack
Okay,
bar.
that's right. we saw that
Remember,
last
I think it was
time we walked.
closed
Yes,
when we,
yes,
yeah, it
yes,
was
yes.
closed when we went by that last time.
Right.
Well, Church's is a restaurant.
No, I didn't know there was another one.
Oh, snack bar.
Snack.
Very good. Any other items or any other points related to the tour? Okay.
Well, of course, I'm always bringing up the need for some kind of business district to work to sustain whatever we do, whatever we build. If we put trees, like if we model It Street and have the trees and the benches and maybe some, streetscape that has to be maintained, that's where a business, where the stakeholders of the downtown area will contribute somehow to maintain that space.
And I think we had talked about that when we were doing the walking tour, that may have been also one of something that was omitted from doing the first time around that that was developed, and that was a business district maintenance program to keep, for example, even the short part of what that had been fixed so that there's upkeep going on.
Like a homeowner.
Like a homeowner association, but it's a business district.
Right.
And that's something to discuss as the project moves forward, because it would be in the interest of the business owners that are there. I don't think that's an idea that we've forgotten. I think we need to continue to remind ourselves, because there's going to be a moment where that time has come for that kind of a district to be created, and then we need to move forward with encouraging it. I don't think the tours can create it, but we can certainly encourage it and speak to the business owners in the area.
And the mall, well, actually Main Street, we had a little meeting. Most everyone was out of town, right? And but it was nicely, not a ton of people, but it was nicely attended. We had it in the community room, which I've never been in at the mall, which is very nice. And we had it on a Thursday evening, and we did have some new faces, people very interested in that idea of working together and communicating with each other. I had some good, Laredo Main Street ran that meeting, and we had some good ideas come out of that.
So it's more besides the owners of the stores at the outlet. It was.
It was they had invited. They went door to door downtown and invited the business operators.
Excellent.
And so some of them were there, and some new people. And we had, we talked about security and digging and lighting. There was a lot of discussion on lighting, and it was good.
So Carol at one point was talking about presentations being made to other community organizations that happen to meet, that we belong to, that we meet with, that may be interested or may not even know about the tours and need to get up to speed on it. And my answer to her was, please, don't hesitate to make that presentation as board members at these meetings, because we need to explain what the tours is. We need to get the word out. I think that we're getting to a point where we're going to have enough monies for projects, so that now we're going to want the community input and maybe community support, of course, and not a question of what is it. I want to cover the what is it now, so that we're not having to do that after the fact. Any other comments or questions or points related to the tour? Very good. Sensing none, that will stop. We'll close on item 5 and move to item 6. Discussion of the TERS RFQ posting, which closed January 2019, end of January 2019. I don't have an update on that. Staff, what can you tell us?
Enrique with the purchasing department is here. He'll give us an update on that.
Yes, we did not have any submittals. What we do plan to do is revisit the RFQ, make some small changes to it, and then reissue the RFQ.
So we'll try again for a third time?
Yes. In fact, the current list that we have on our city e-bit purchasing system has all our local vendors, and we're gonna try to get more vendors involved by talking to some of the cities along the border and upstate to see how, what vendors submitted RFQs
Okay.
for those projects.
Okay, I'd appreciate it, thank you. Is that something you'll be providing the board to review, I take it,
Yes.
before it's actually posted?
Correct.
Would that be done, is that something we can get before the next meeting so that we can take action at the next meeting?
Yes, I will discuss it with the purchasing agent, Mr. Pescoa,
Okay,
and once we have it finalized, we'll discuss with the department, and then we will.
I would just tend to recommend it just to repost
Okay.
and put it out again, and then we just work with city staff, work with our purchasing department to try to do that reach out a little bit more intensely to the
So-
local.
I think it's gonna be different.
so am I hearing from you, so what you're saying, really the problem was that the outreach was was the problem and not the RFQ?
Well, it could be a multiple of things. I mean, did they have time? Were there other projects that they were buying for? I mean, were those persons available? I mean, so sometimes it's just a matter just about putting that out again. Maybe they didn't see it the first time, or they forgot about it. I mean,
But so my question is,
but there's a mail out that they do to everybody who's registered with city bids.
I
So
understand.
everybody gets it. Maybe they didn't see that email
Is
that
that the
one day.
RFQ that went out?
Yeah.
So it could be a multiple of things.
No, I totally get it, and the multiple of things happen not only once, but it happened 2 times. So if we just repost it, are we setting us up for a 3rd time of doing this? It's frustrating, you know, I certainly understand how people may not bid on it, and I totally get that part of it, but I also don't think that doing the same thing over again and over again is going to get us a different, I mean, if we'll post it and we don't get a bids again, people are gonna look at this and say, okay, you're doing the same thing 3 times in a row, how do you expect to get something different if you're not tweaking something? That's why I'm asking, should we not be looking at this or reviewing this or getting suggestions?
I did come across a couple of RFQs, more or less similar. We'll have to go through it to see what kind of changes can be made to this current one. And I was able to get listings of vendors that were able to submit for those RFQs in the different cities around the state. So we'll go off that list and we will invite those vendors also.
And then there's one thing, and I don't know if it's in the RFQ, to be honest with you, but it was discussed. I just wanted to make sure that this was an important point that was added between the first one and the second one. And that's that the first one didn't seem to include that the vendor had to have a tie to Laredo, meaning an office of sorts, so that the bid that came in the last time, the one bid that came in the first time, what was clear was they had not really taken into account having to be here X amount of time. You know, that was gonna be an extra fee. The more often we called them to visit the project or to work on the project, the more expensive the project would become. So I just want to confirm that in the bid, we do include that they have some kind of association with, the presence with, partnership with, a local contact.
We put that in there.
Yeah,
right?
but all it says is that it's the last one, familiarity with local geographic area as it relates to the project.
It's someplace else.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
should-
remember.
You do remember?
I do
Okay.
remember.
Okay, so it was already in there. I stand corrected on that. Thank you.
Remember, we redlined a
Right,
lot
right.
of it.
And we redid it, that
So,
specific.
can you refresh my memory, who
Here, this is what we're.
we're tailoring that RFQ for, as far as
A project manager.
a project manager?
For the person who would manage and let out the project to be developed, so work, coordinate with the engineers or architects or designers who are gonna be working the everything, so that they're on time, bids are consistent, or following regulations, et cetera,
Coordinating with the
So are we
city.
expecting an architect or an engineer to propose on this?
Those could be eligible persons.
Do they see this?
Yes, if they're
Yeah.
registered with City Bid and we have their email address and we invited them, as soon as we put it out, they get a confirmation email to please look at the RFQ that's out there.
Which is this.
Exactly.
This is a list of invited suppliers. As soon as the RFQ was published, it went out to all those
Yes,
vendors.
I think I got it.
Did, are they allowed, the bid can include partnership with another firm that may have an expertise in something, is that correct, or
It's a qualification.
a so, yeah.
It's not a bid, yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry, the request for qualification can talk about partnering with somebody else, right? Okay, very
How
good.
they plan to implement the project or the activities to be undertaken, or their partnerships with who's gonna help them.
So they'll describe how they would do that partnership, right? Okay, very good. I think, and now I'm going to direct this to more the private sector members of the board. You know, the city staff has been doing what it can to get the word out. They have a good list of people here. I know it's an extensive list, and I know I'm not doubting that it has gone out. The question is, there's a multitude of reasons why they maybe haven't bid, but now we need to, as a private sector, to start putting feelers out there and contacting those firms we know to ask them to look at this bid when it's reposted, so that we get some action or traction on it. So if we're going to try to do this before are you suggesting that we move forward with this before the next meeting?
Yeah, because then you're gonna lose 30 days again.
Okay, so then can we ask this? Because I do think it's part of our duty to review whatever's posted, even if it's only tweaked. Could it be sent to us by email? We'll give ourselves 2 days. Those who don't respond in a couple of days after getting it and reviewing it, then move forward with the posting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we did last time, except we did it in a longer process. We got it, we reviewed it, we came to the meeting, we redlined it, we turned it back in. You didn't accept everything we submitted, and there were some things we submitted that just couldn't be taken.
Let's just put it like this, Henry, we can put it out there again, and then we can review your comments, and you provide us the final copy. If you want, because everybody could have different comments on it, and then who do you?
That's fine.
who
Okay, we
comes-
could do that.
So
What we
then
could
you
do
have
is,
authority to
once we
decide.
get it, what I'll ask you all to do is submit any comments you may have to me, and then I'll suggest them to you. The city, of course, has to work within the city guidelines. We can make something, as we did the last time, make recommendations that just are not within guidelines, so not everything can be used. But what we'll do, it'll give you all an opportunity for feedback or not. And if I don't hear from you, I'll assume you said it
Okay.
reads well. And if you don't hear from me by the deadline you give me, that's on me. I mean, I want to place the burden on myself as well, because I know I'm being harsh on the letting process. But so I want to be harsh on myself as well, and I'll commit to getting it in by the deadline.
So then you'll send this out to us, we'll provide you comments with a quick turnaround time, and then we'll send it back to the city.
Who will be sending this to me?
Mr. Pescala.
It shouldn't be a problem to send it to all of the board at the same time, but comments are going to come to me.
Yeah.
Board members,
Individually.
we're here, the board's here right now. Your comments should not go back to Mr. Pescador. Your comments should come back to me.
I'm thinking if anyone knows anyone on this list, reach out to them and say, did you see it, and why didn't you? Why
That's-
didn't you respond?
That's a good
Because I think
point.
all of us know some people on this list,
But
and we need to find out why nobody's responding to it.
Well, I think it's a little bit, there's two parts to it, right? There's the project management, make sure everything's on time and they're doing a good job and all that, right? But then there's also what to do first, like the expertise on what do we do with TERS monies? Where should we start? How big should we plan?
Right.
How far, who, is that also in this RFQ? Is that also in this?
No.
This is just
It's
a project
project
manager.
It's part of the-
Just
And we could tell the project manager where to start, how to do it, what we want, and then the project manager goes and takes care of it for us versus someone directing us to direct the project manager, I guess.
The idea.
initially, yes. but the second round, no.
Because the firm that helped us put this together,
Right.
of course, has
They-
the expertise to do that. They were not interested in,
No, it's already been developed. We need,
Right.
we need project implementation.
And so we have a limited budget. So the board would be going back to so the board can go back. I'm going to use an example. This is not what we're saying is a proposal. But the board could go to the council and say, we're targeting Zaragoza, starting with the exit of the bridge and working our way 2 blocks each direction of the bridge. And that's how we're starting the project. And as the money comes in, we'll take another block and another block. There, we've designated the zone as the money's coming in. The project manager's letting the project out so that it develops as we described it. Or we could go to the city council and say, city council, this is a 10-block area that we'd like to develop. We know we have a stream of income that's gonna come in over the next 10 years. We'd like to use city money that's repayable through the TERS if you let out the project as a 10-block area immediately. But the city council would be deciding that.
The ideal thing would be that it would be like an experienced individual that's kind of done project management before and knows the letting process. So that way they could manage the project. That would be like the ideal thing. But I don't see it either being a firm that's got like an
Right.
architect or an engineer,
Right.
several staff, and they work together as a firm to do what we need to get done.
that's what you do, that's what you.
One or the other. I mean, I don't see it being either or. I mean, it's, I think one of the things that we wanted them to do is that they were somewhere within the geographic location, so that when the project gets
Easy
going,
access.
we don't have those questions, well, they're in San Antonio, and we need an answer right now, and it's gonna delay the project there too, because they can't make it, you know.
I think part of the architect-engineer side is that if they become the project manager, then they can't necessarily do the work.
Yeah, that's
Right.
it.
And that may have been one of the reasons we didn't get all of the firm, or any of the firms to bid, because they see themselves as bidding on the project.
As on the work, right?
Yes. But I think this part of the project can be just as attractive, but we just need to promote it.
But I think if we as a board put out that word that this proposal's gonna go on, or this proposal's gonna go on again, we know there's a few candidates out there that might fit that role. Just put that word out. Now, once it gets posted, we have to be very careful because ethics comes into play. And part of the proposal process, there cannot be no contact between us
Right.
and the person seeking, submitting proposals. So.
Thank you.
So at what point can you contact them just for feedback so that we get it out
Prior
right?
to us putting it out?
Prior.
Just-
Prior to the
Prior to
Just
the
letting them know
posting.
that there's
Now
a
is the
proposal
time.
out.
Okay.
So if we already have another no submittal for the second time, what if we sent out for architectural or engineering firms and we act as the project manager? Is that possible?
I don't see that.
We don't have no staff.
That's exactly,
Yeah.
the time it would take,
Well, they would be doing it themselves. So like, let's just say you hire an architect. His firm, they act as the firm to develop the project and manage the project and then report to, they're kind of like doing the same thing.
so Ben, and so I'll just throw this out as I put it. So they begin to fall behind schedule because of X reason, it doesn't matter the reason, and you're the project manager.
Okay, I understand that part. So I guess what I'm saying is, let's make the project manager, if it's an architectural engineering firm, they're the project manager to develop the plans and manage the project, and they report to us. As far as, the same way this project manager would
That's what,
report to us.
that's what we're saying.
But I
No, but
think-
he's saying an internal, right?
I'm saying, if we can't, right now, we're not getting the architects and engineers to bid on this, because then they'll basically abstain from getting the work to do this
Right.
job. I'm saying, let the architect engineer be the project manager and the firm who develops the plan.
Right.
I don't-
Which is, it's done all the time, that.
I'm saying, if we don't get another,
Right.
Can we try one more time?
that's fine. I mean, I don't mind.
We don't have to make it 30 days, we can just make it 2 weeks. So that way it can be out and they can submit and by next board meeting.
I'd rather make it
Just
30
reach
I'd
out
rather
to
make it
whoever you
30
know.
days. I mean, with the money's not accumulating at that, at a speed that we're gonna lose time on that. I think if we find ourselves in October, November, and still not having this, then I'm gonna be worried. But let's put this out, let's give it one more try. The acting, the interim city manager this morning suggested one more time. And so, let's work with him on that.
That's fine,
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, can I have this put in the form of a motion, please? By someone who has summarized this in their head?
I make a motion to revise the current RFQ and resubmit for the next city council meeting?
No,
Next,
it does, no, just have it
reposted.
right. With the,
I would say if we can allow an amendment to that, to allow the chair to determine those final revisions before prior to posting.
do you agree to the amendment?
Yes, I agree with.
I second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for the process and moving forward with the RFQ for letting it out for a third time. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Staff, thank you very much. I appreciate your work on this. I know it hasn't been easy. I know it's been frustrating. I don't think there's any other discussion for this item. So the next item, well, by the way, and I'll add it as something as a discussion to the TERS RFQ posting, which will close. So if you have any questions or anything that's going to be discussed, remember you need to let us know. Just like we did for this item here, you saw it come out twice, only because you need to let us know as board members, any item that you need posted for discussion purposes, or else we can't be discussing it here. We're limited to the items that we post. The next item on the agenda is an adjournment. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very
Was
much.
there a mover and a seconder for?
I'm sorry,
to adjourn?
who made the motion? No, it didn't, I'm sorry, will someone make the
I
motion?
make the motion to adjourn.
Mr.
Second.
Quake did?
Second.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.